The story follows Elizabeth Bennet, a sharp-minded and independent young woman living with her parents and four sisters in rural England, where their mother is desperate to marry them off to secure their families' future, since their estate will be inherited by a distant cousin, Mr. Collins. When the wealthy and charming Mr. Bingley arrives in the neighborhood and instantly takes a liking to Elizabeth's gentle sister, Jane, the Bennet household becomes full of excitement. But at the same event, Elizabeth meets Bingley's reserved and proud friend, Mr. Darcy, whose cold attitude makes her dislike him immediately. As Jane and Bingley quietly fall for each other, Darcy begins to secretly admire Elizabeth's intelligence and spirit, but his pride, social status, and her prejudice toward his behavior keep them apart, especially after the militia officer, Mr. Wickham, tells Elizabeth a false story of how Darcy wronged him, making her believe Darcy's cruel and arrogant. Meanwhile, Mr. Collins proposes to Elizabeth in a ridiculous manner, confident she will accept, but she refuses, shocking her family. And he soon marries her friend Charlotte instead. Elizabeth visits Charlotte and encounters Darcy again at his aunt Lady Catherine's estate, where Darcy becomes increasingly drawn to her despite the class differences. Eventually, Darcy confesses his love abruptly and proposes, but Elizabeth angrily rejects him, accusing him of separating Jane from Bingley and destroying Wickham's future. Darcy leaves a long letter explaining the truth. Wickham had tried to run off with Darcy's young sister for money, and Darcy only separated Jane and Bingley because he believed Jane did not truly love Bingley and feared the Bennet family's improper behavior would harm his friend. This revelation shocks Elizabeth, and she slowly realizes her own Pride and Prejudice blinded her to Darcy's true character. Later, during a trip with her aunt and uncle, Elizabeth visits Darcy's grand estate Pemberley and is surprised to see him behave respectfully, kindly, and warmly, treating her relatives with honor, and she begins to see a better version of him. During the visit, terrible news arrives that Lydia Bennet has run away with Wickham, threatening the family's reputation. Darcy suddenly disappears, and later Elizabeth learns that he secretly found the couple, paid Wickham's debts, and forced him to marry Lydia to save the Bennet family from disgrace. This act deeply moves Elizabeth and changes her heart toward Darcy. Soon after, Bingley returns, encouraged now by Darcy, and proposes to Jane, who happily accepts. Lady Catherine storms into the Bennet home, demanding Elizabeth promise never to marry Darcy, but Elizabeth firmly refuses, proving her strength and independence. Darcy, hearing of this, gathers courage and visits again, telling Elizabeth his feelings have not changed. This time, she accepts with full love, admitting how wrong she had been. The story ends with both couple gets married,